Hello and welcome back to Diary of a Name Dropper with me, Meredith Hepner Chapman. This episode I'm joined by an absolute hero of mine, an absolute music legend. With over 25 albums under her belt, I cannot wait for you to hear me chatting to the one and only Judie Tzuke. So Judie, thank you so much for joining me today on the most beautiful sunny day.
I want to smell your perfume.
Well, I'm sending you one. Oh. I'm sending you one anyway. You good. Get one of those.
Oh, that's good. I've been watching it and thinking, I wonder what it smells like.
Well, you'll find out. But welcome to Diary of a Name Dropper. I have been a fan pretty much all my life, I have to say.
That's so lovely. Thank you very much.
That whole... As we were talking just before, I think it's so timeless and so contemporary. And if you released Ladies' Night today, I think it would, hold itself up against London Grammar and Haim and just exquisite. And
well, thank you. That song has a story if you're interested. I am
interested.
Because I wrote it an awfully long time ago, but it was actually about, I had a boyfriend who I was sort of seeing, and we'd been seeing each other for a little while, and then he told me that he was actually married, but they were separated. But he was trying to convince me to do like little pub gigs and stand-up things. So he convinced me to do it in this pub. I was really very nervous, and when I walked in, his wife and all her friends were all sat there waiting for me to sort of stand up and sing, and I just looked at them all. I mean, it was bad. I would not have gone out with a married man knowingly, but it was really awful. And I looked at them all and I just thought, I can't do this. I literally turned around, went home and wrote about how I would have felt had I sung to them. So that's sort of what it was.
And is that how, and Ladies' Night came from that?
Yes, yeah.
It makes me cry.
Up. He didn't turn up. He was too frightened because obviously he'd found out that she wasn't really his ex, that's the trouble. They were separated. But he told me they were not together at all, so...
Oh, what a shit.
Yeah, he was a bit naughty like that, and I didn't stay with him either, so that was a good thing.
Good. You didn't stay with him till dawn, see what I did
No,
there?
I didn't. No. No.
We'll get on to the music, but we share a Polish background, a Polish Jewish background.
Cool. Yes.
My grandfather was from Warsaw.
Yes, mine was from some funny place, something called Slot or something. I can't. Do you know what? A funny thing. I mean, I don't know how long you've got, but
as long as you've got.
I've always dreamed of being contacted by one of those air hunter things, and I suddenly got a letter about 6 months ago from one of the air hunters saying that he believed that I was due some money from my Polish grandfather's cousin's brother or something crazy. And I was so excited. It turned out that it was only £40.
Oh, wow.
But what I do get is all the family history because they've had to go through everything to find out, all the connections and whether I am actually connected. So I'm going to get... And then about 3 months later, I got another one. And it was, I think, the wife or the sister of the other person that had left me money. And again, it was 40 quid. I haven't had either of them yet. But they're both promising to send me this detailed background, where I come from, when we came over, all the names of everybody.
Oh, fascinating. I will investigate that. But my cousin Jack Savoretti very well, and he was told to change his surname.
Yes.
He's very glad he didn't now.
My family did. My family, this is one thing I found out, they changed their name to Myers, or it was given, I heard it was given to them on the border because the border people couldn't pronounce Tzuke. But I've since found out that I think they chose Myers because one of my great-great-great-great-grandfather's middle name was Myers. So I think that's what they did. So they changed it to Myers from Tzuke. And when I found out when I was at school, when I was about 10, I found out, and I used to scribble. I was trying to sort of develop my handwriting, and I just thought Judie Tzuke looks so much better.
So cool.
than Judy Myers to me. You know, nothing against Myers, but yes. So our name was changed too.
It is a seriously cool name. So I know that your mother was I could have got this wrong, so do correct me, because I know research is not always completely accurate. But your mother was an actress and your father was in property, but he also managed singers and artists.
He did. He really wanted to be a musician, and we were brought up with him buying all these peculiar instruments and making us children sit there and listen to him make terrible noises. But he'd always wished that he'd been a musician, so he was quite wealthy in his property development and stuff. So he decided to use some of the money to support up-and-coming artists. And yes, he was sent Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat by, Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. And so he took them on and he gave them the upstairs of his office to work and our flat in London. So he did do that. He did help quite a few other people. But I was really young and I don't actually remember their names, apart from obviously Tim Rice and Andrew.
But you were really young when you started performing, weren't you?
Yes, I was young. I was very, very nervous. I wasn't that great, and I played guitar.
Nonsense, with that voice, you can't ever have been.
I was so nervous, and playing guitar made me shake because I was so frightened, and so I wasn't great on my own. But when I met Mike Paxman, and he was a guitarist and a drummer, and my world sort of opened because I suddenly had all these amazing musicians. So I stopped playing guitar myself and just had much better players play for me. I started writing songs at about 14.
Oh, it's incredible. I saw recently as well, you were on this, not that recently, probably just before the pandemic, you were on with, and we will come to it, Julia Fordham and Beverly Craven. You were on an interview and you said you hate being photographed or being the centre of attention.
I do.
Which, as a lead vocalist, is,
I know. It doesn't make any sense, does it? I write music and make music because I'm quite a depressive. I'm a very sort of oversensitive, overthinker, quite depressive person. Not all the time, but I found that if I wrote about the things like that I felt, like Ladies' Night, I wrote that song that night after I came home. I played it to my mum the next day and she said, "Oh, Judy, why do you write such sad songs?" I said, "But I don't feel sad now because I've put it in a song. I've got it out of my system." Yeah, it's like therapy for me. And also, I also found when I was young, my father died when I was 14, threw me into a bit of a sort of dark place. And I started listening to music, and there were musicians like Jackson Browne, who was around at the time, whose lyrics seemed to tie in with what I was feeling, and it made me feel better. And I felt like he was my friend. A bit silly, it was a emotional crush rather than a sort of lustful crush. I just used to listen to his music and feel like, oh my goodness, someone else feels like me, and I wanted my music to do the same thing for other people. Really. That's why I do music. My music is not to be famous. My music is not to make lots of money, though I wouldn't mind a bit more than I make. It's really, I would write songs whether I was earning a penny or not. I just do it for other reasons. And I think I was very lucky, to have my hit, that Stay With Me Till Dawn, put me on stage and gave me a lifetime career. But it's an uncomfortable one for me when I have to be on stage. And I'm still working with Beverly and Julia. We've got a tour in October, November coming up.
I'm definitely coming.
Where are you based?
We're in Tring, just sort of
of course you are. That's right.
North of the sort of north of London. Beverly went to my school.
Oh, did she? Does she know you?
No. She's a bit older, and I grew up in London and only sort of joined a bit later on. But she went to school in Berkhamsted, and I believe Sarah Brightman was at school with her, I think.
I think she was. Well, that's funny, because I thought she was also at school with someone else I know, and I can't think who
Derek
it is
Folds, now. But he's a lot older.
I can't remember.
But you mentioned Jackson Browne, and this is... I love serendipity. I just love anything like that. I looked after Jack's dogs recently, and he had a Jackson Browne vinyl on his record player. It was obviously the last. album he'd listened to, and he writes songs, as my late wonderful uncle said. Why does he make songs that make me want to, throw myself off a cliff? He's actually the happiest man I know, and he's such an upbeat and positive person. And I have to say, I listen to your songs, and songs I've subsequently found out you've written, which is again serendipity.
Like the Sun is so funny. I'm so glad you heard that.
That is mine and my daughter's song. I cry to that. I sob. I fall in love with everything, and then I feel wonderful.
Well, I do try and do some up ones. But, most... And now I'm very conscious when I do write sad songs that I kind of give a slight hope at the end somewhere, because it's like watching TV series as well. I don't like the TV series that the good person never wins,
Yes.
I can watch the worst and most sad series as long as at the end the good person
there has to be
is
a
okay,
satisfying ending.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, as women, it's very sad and hard for us. We do have a lot to go through, and it doesn't get easier, and those songs come from your heart, and that's why they're so beautiful, because I know you're feeling every...
Well, thank you. I do really, I'd say 99.9% of the songs that I write are either about me or somebody very close to me, and I know them so well I feel their feelings. So every song is like a diary, really. I can put myself back to when each song I've written, when I hear it, I remember where I was, who I was with, why I did it, why I said the things I said in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So tell me about, I loved it. I was listening to Woman to Woman yesterday, the live, is it?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Wonderful to have all those wonderful songs on one album. Julia's Love Moves in Mysterious Way, which is another one that stops me in my tracks and makes me cry, but I love it. Woman to Woman, which is so brilliant because it just shouts at men. Yeah. But then you come on and say, could I do my hit?
Yeah.
It's so brilliant. It's so humble, because suddenly it's like, this song, the way it grows. I mean, I love a song structure discussion. I love David Foster and Diane Warren, that writing powerhouse, and the way the key changes in the middle eight, and that's something in Ryan Dan's Just Like the Sun, which the song just keeps going. It never stops, and it just keeps satisfying you, and that is exactly how Stay With Me Till Dawn feels, because it starts off with your beautiful vocals, and I have to say, your vocals on Woman to Woman last year...
No, I'm so sorry.
That's
Dee Dee,
okay.
shush.
Say
that again. I think I need to hear this.
Well, we were talking about you and your beautiful daughter's vocals, and I said how similar they sound, and you said to me earlier, yes, but someone told me they wanted a slightly younger sound. I think you sound identical to how you sounded.
Well, that's going to be sorely tested on Monday, because there's a DJ that wants to do Stay With Me Till Dawn, and they wanted to use the old version, but unfortunately, back in the day, our things were done on those, I don't know, it's 4-inch or 3-inch, I don't know what tape, those great big tapes that had all the separate bits on all that on there, but it was on Rocket, and somebody wiped the whole tape for the whole album, Welcome to the Cruise. So we have the original version, but we can't change anything. We can't get in there and move anything. So I've been asked if I can recreate the original vocal, and I'm doing it on Monday, so we shall see.
This is amazing. So what, for a dance track, or?
Yes, yes. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I listened to one of his other tracks, and I have to say, I liked it. I have done quite a lot of dance stuff. They've taken my songs and done them, differently. But this guy sounds quite good, and he seems to keep a bit of emotion in it, as well as just the dance beat. So it's quite exciting.
That is really exciting. I can't wait to hear that. Well, Jeremy interviewed Goldie a couple of... Did he mention?
Yes, he did.
Goldie a couple of years ago. He's a massive fan of yours.
I know he is. And I was saying, to Jeremy that it's so good. It's so nice that he loves my stuff anyway. But it's also, I think, my image to a lot of people is this sort of girl at the piano. I don't play piano really at all. Middle of the road. And it's so nice when people like Goldie say that they really are a fan, because it makes other people go, oh, really? Oh, I wouldn't have expected that. And then they go and listen to it, which is great. And he's been brilliant about that. He always mentions me in interviews.
I'd like a drum and bass Judie Tzuke mix.
Well, I would too. We nearly had one, but it was one of his songs, and I did a version for him. But he'd already done it with someone else, and he didn't feel that he could change it. But I think we have plans at some point. It would be lovely to work together. I do like drum and bass.
Yes, so do I.
I mean, I like so many different genres of music, and I love. If somebody sends me a backing track, I'll write a song on it. Because I do the melody and the lyrics, but I don't usually do any of the musical, the playing bits. So
I want you to do a song with Jack.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to do a song with Jack. I mean, we could definitely do that. I would be very up for that.
God, that would be two incredible voices. I hate saying too nice things about Jack. But,
I'm not very good at sort of, I would be very happy to work with him. I think he's fantastic. And but I would never ask him. So
I'll have to do it then.
You can do that if you'd like to.
And I won't tell you, and just see what happens.
Yeah, no worries.
You were very groundbreaking, though. I saw... I remember the old Grey Whistle Test, and then I saw some footage where you sang again. I'm sorry, I keep going back to Ladies' Night, but it's just such a good song. Your presence on Old Grey Whistle Test, and they I know you said you hate being filmed, but the way you look into the camera, I mean, that was probably fear and terror, but it worked.
So it was fear and terror, absolutely fear and terror. I did Sports Car as well, I think, which was, in a way, I don't know whether you've seen that on Whistle Test, but I think I did Sports Car. I hope I did.
I've seen Sports Car, whether that was on... I
can't remember now.
I love just going through YouTube of all of it. I went down a complete rabbit hole the other night of which then led me on to sort of Julia and Beverly, which then brought me to Woman, which I didn't know. I didn't know that you'd done this incredible song, Safe Together. And
oh yes, I wrote that song with Beth Nilsson Chapman, and I wrote it just before the first tour, and I just thought this would be great for all of us. It's 3-part harmony all the way through. Yes, and we did that. And then we have written another one. Rumour's joined as well. And yes, and I wrote another song with Beth a couple of months ago, specifically for Woman, but I don't know if it's going to work out yet. But we're working on it. Sure. But yes, Rumour's special guest with us, and she's fantastic. I don't know how it's all going to sound because we haven't started rehearsing
because of your voices are just unbelievable. And they mention on the Old Grey Whistle Test you were so unique, because it wasn't punk, it wasn't rock. I don't think you were folk. I know people try and put you in a sort of folky area, but I don't think you're folk. I'm not a fan of folk.
I'm not folk. I'm a singer-songwriter, more based on the sort of, Joni Mitchell,
Absolutely.
Jackson Browne. Those are the people I was sort of listening to, that I was, I guess, imitating without meaning to, and being inspired by. But I never tried to do something like that. But that's kind of, I think it was weird. I mean, back then my inspirations were definitely people like Joni Mitchell and Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Jackson Browne, the Eagles, all those people. But I also loved Tamla Motown. And so I used to listen a lot to Marvin Gaye and Sam and Dave, and and then I also loved Paul Rodgers from Free, which is a sort of more rocky bluesy thing, and Bonnie Raitt, who was also quite bluesy. So my inspirations are quite varied genre wise, and I think that is part of what I've never been able to be completely boxed into any particular thing, which is a good and a bad thing, I think, because nobody quite... I mean, I used to have fans back in the day, that'd have all the lovely couples who were sort of, leaning into each other and listening to the emotional stuff. And then I had loads of sort of rock people with big sort of leather jackets on and UFO and Thin Lizzy and all that
Stevie
sort of
Nicks
stuff.
Vibes.
Yeah, and then on the inside of their jackets they'd have Judie Tzuke, because I think they weren't quite sure whether they were supposed to be and whether it was okay. And actually, and Stevie Nicks was she told me was a fan. I don't like to sort of say
I
it
love
in a
that.
way that
Stevie Nicks told me she was a fan.
Yeah. It was right back in the day, and I went to Australia, and they were just doing the album After Rumours. They were touring that. So on the sort of radio interview run, I was behind them. So everywhere I went, they'd just been there the day before. And Stevie Nicks at the time was talking about my album, which was fantastic for me, and sort of saying that she was a fan of my album. But we didn't meet, although we were supposed to, a couple of times. And both times we arranged to, well, her person arranged with me that she would come and meet me. And then her person came down and said, she's feeling a bit ugly tonight. And I'm thinking, how could she feel ugly? I thought
That's
she
my
was the
new
most
excuse.
gorgeous thing. Yeah. She said, oh no, she's just feeling too ugly. So I never actually met her until a bit later, when I met her on tour with Elton, and she came to the LA gig that I was doing with him supporting. But she was a little bit worse for wear, I think, so I didn't get to actually have a proper chat with her.
That's the most brilliant anecdote. She felt too ugly. What's Elton like? Crazy.
Oh, Elton was.
You were signed to
crazy
his
then.
record label, weren't you?
I
was. So I should point that out.
Yeah, I was so called his, prodigy.
Yeah.
He was, when I was there, he was in his crazy wild stage where I can't really tell you what he was like, because he was pretty wild. I've met him, I still, when we don't hang out, but if we're in the same place, we say hello, and he's very nice to me, and he did give me all my albums back, which was fantastic of him, and it was a lifesaver for me at the time. He is Elton. I don't really know what he's really like.
But he gave you the rights back.
He gave me all my rights back.
Oh,
yes.
wow, that's monumental.
I was on a holiday in Lanzarote, and I was sat round a pool with loads of other people. We got a little tiny one of those sort of villas round the pool, and I was sat there sunbathing, and the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was Elton, and he said, "Hello, Judy," and I sort of, "Hello," and he said, "Oh, it's Elton. I just wanted to say that I didn't realise that you didn't have all your rights back, and of course you can have them all back." Oh. And I'm in my swimming costume, sort of in Lanzarote, with him on the phone, and thinking, this is the weirdest thing ever, but it was a very wonderful thing that he did.
That's such a generous thing to do, and people who aren't in the industry probably don't realise how integral that is to income years later.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you've kind of not got any rights to your songs, you could be tortured listening to that song on the radio.
People don't understand that you as a musician, especially in my time, you sign away your albums forever kind of thing, or it can be forever. We still haven't got a couple of ours back, that 35 years ago. Not from Rocket, from another company.
What's your favourite song you've done?
Oh,
sorry, really making you choose a child now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sophie's Choice.
Do you know, it does depend on my mood. I think I would have said my favourite album, which was probably Secret Agent or Under the Angels, which I don't know if you've heard all those ones. I mean, I've got 25 odd albums out there.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying to say, and I'm really bad at song names. I mean, I'm a huge Stevie Wonder fan. Songs in the Key of Life changed my life.
Me too. I forgot to mention him. He was the other one that I listened to all the time.
Should we talk a little bit about Stevie?
We can do, but I'm like you. I can never remember.
No, I can never remember song names.
The titles, apart from Village Ghetto Land, which I used to sing. I mean, I just used to practice singing everybody's songs, and Stevie Wonder was definitely one that was always quite challenging to do all the little wobbly bits that he does.
Changes. Yeah. And I mean, Golden Lady and Knocks Me Off My Feet. If I heard you singing those, I think it'd be life complete moment. Be like, oh.
Maybe I should start doing, like loads of people now do covers on YouTube.
Insta Lives.
Yeah.
Please, Judy, I know you hate being filmed and all that, but it would give so much joy. When I told a few people I was interviewing today, you need to let me know when the episode's coming out. I'm a huge Judie Tzuke fan, You performed recently at the Stables, didn't you, which is quite near us?
I did with Bev, actually.
Yeah.
We did this thing. It was Bev's idea. We before the pandemic, we both had a night each at the stables that was supposed to be.
I should say Beverly Craven for
yes, Beverly
for
Craven.
reference.
Yes, it was a sort of warm up gig each we had, and then the pandemic happened and it got rescheduled, and then we thought, why should we do one each? We might as well do two together. And Beverly was doing this thing called Strings Attached, which she was going to have just piano and her and a string quartet, which I've never had sort of for myself. I've never really had strings on stage.
You with an orchestra would be unbelievable.
Well, what we did was we did the two gigs at Milton Keynes at the stables, and what we had was Beverly played piano for me and sang backing vocals, and I sang backing vocals for her, and we split the gig in half, and I had my guitarist and we had a string quartet, and it was the loveliest gig. And from that we then got asked to do another gig in, I can't think what, with some cathedral. Can't remember what it was, but it was a beautiful one. I'll try and remember what that was and send you a message afterwards. But they had their whole orchestra, and they said we could have the orchestra, for free, and to do the gig there. So from that we did that gig with the whole orchestra, and honestly I was standing in front of the orchestra, and there was one point where I was singing, and it makes me all emotional now. They started playing, and it was just like someone just grabbed hold of me and lifted me up. It was incredible to have
you made me go funny
orchestra.
then.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing.
The music does that.
I think we're hoping to do, we have got one of those actually in July the 28th, but I think it's just a string quartet on that level, and I think that's in Petworth.
I do want to come.
Yeah, and then next year we are hoping to do some more of those. I've said it would be lovely to just do, cathedrals and beautiful places, so that it's not just an outing of listening to music, it's an outing in somewhere beautiful that has lovely acoustics and that has strings.
So I'm assuming cathedrals do have great acoustics.
Well, they have acoustics that you couldn't really have a rock band in, because the noise sort of goes up to the ceiling and round and around, and it can be a bit echoey, but it's also I feel very emotional.
A beautiful, yes, almost sort of. I'm not religious, I'm agnostic, but almost biblical. Just
I mean, you and I both. I love religious artifacts,
yes.
And I love
icons,
beautiful buildings, and that. But I'm not. I'm nothing as far as beliefs go, really. I choose to believe in angels because I like the idea that I have angels watching me. But I don't have any religion. I'm half Jewish by race, but not by anything else.
Exactly the same as me. It's and I have to say, both my children are both christened Greek Orthodox because it mattered to my ex-mother-in-law, and I thought, well, it matters so much to her. Then why not? It's not harming anyone.
Absolutely,
and the churches are so beautiful, Greek churches.
I've seen some. Yeah. Funny enough, I've just been invited to a wedding. And the husband is of Greek origin, and he wants to dress up in like the Acropolis, sort of the tunic and the whole thing for the wedding. So it's going to be quite fun to see. But yes,
I can see your Jack just played at the is it the Acropolis or that's where you've got to play. That's where you and Beverly and Julia need to head out to with an entire orchestra.
It'd be amazing.
Yes, do it. Oh, so we should probably talk a little bit about your brilliant daughter, who I would have loved to have come on today.
And she would have loved to have come, but actually she's got a very busy day today because she's just been contacted by an American sync person who does all the music for a lot of the very big series in America. And they want to use her music, so she's having to record some of it and send it out acoustically, so they've just got to that, and she absolutely has to do that.
Her music is made for Grey's Anatomy and sort of...
Well, she was on Grey's Anatomy.
No.
She had one. Yes, I think it was
this is glorious. That's mine and my daughter's thing. We sit down
Well, you would have seen it, but I can't remember
Jack's
now.
done it as well, and I'm rubbish. I mean, there's been so many episodes.
If you look up, I'll tell you what, if you look up a song called Turn and Turn Again.
Right, I'm writing this down.
I think it says it's by All Thieves. It's a project that Bailey was involved with, and she co-wrote the song and sang it, and it got taken on Grey's Anatomy the end of, I think it might have been the 3rd or 4th series, and it was on for about 6 minutes, which is a long time.
That's
at the end of one of the
dying scene, probably.
Yeah.
And will she be down as? I mean, is her name Bailey Tzuke? Or
I think it'll be All Thieves. But I think if you put Bailey Tzuke and Turn and Turn Again, you'll probably find it that way as well. But it was never released, unfortunately, because, well, I don't really know why, but the chap that made it was a project. It was a whole album, and the chap that actually did it loved it so much that he's so precious about it. He doesn't want to put it out. It still could come out now, and it would be just as relevant, well, probably even more relevant now. And he may do. We're still trying to bring it into the Tiggy fold, because it is very similar to Tiggy, and it would work, and it's such an amazing song.
So why Tiggy? Because it's T-I-G-Y.
Okay, well, it's T-I-G-Y. Now, this is quite an emotional thing too, in that I had a sister who was killed in a car accident when she was 18, and I just got my first song and everything. It was all very bad timing, but she used to write a diary, and her diary she called Tiggy because it stands for Thoughts I Give You. And so I gave the diary to my daughter, and she took it on and thought that the idea of trying to do the whole Tiggy thing as like a diary. So that's where that comes from.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
But it does make me cry.
Yeah. Oh, Judy, goodness, sorry. You keep flooring me. Stop it. I mean, and then I'm going to go and listen to your songs and just be a complete wreck.
The thing is, I'm so tired this week that I am just on the verge of kind of sobbing all the time about everything. I've got like no defences at the moment. I'm not
sending
sad.
you a candle. Sniff it.
Yes,
pull yourself together.
I'm not being. Yes, I'm not really sad. I'm just very, very emotional. I am like that anyway. I always used to describe myself to people as an egg without a shell, because that's what I feel like. I've never been able to defend myself from emotions, whether they be anger, sadness, happiness, anything.
I like that. I can't hide my emotion. I really can't.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no... And I think it's actually really healthy. And because we come from probably very sort of... the Eastern European sort of quite flamboyant, very much as it is. And of course, in the UK, we have to hide our emotions, and so it's quite conflicting from the sort of my
both
home
my girls
life.
Both of my girls are like it too. We're always watching TV programs and bursting into tears. Well, my other daughter, Tallulah, loves Mamma Mia. And literally, you just put Mamma Mia on, and she just starts crying,
slipping
and
through my
cries
fingers
all the way through.
But Bailey got it from her mama, didn't she? I mean, I think you sound... Sorry, Bailey, but I mean, you sound... I'm just so...
Well, we have a similar emotion in our voices, most definitely, and we sing really well together. And so does Tallulah, my younger daughter, as well.
So is Tallulah in the industry as well?
No, she doesn't want to be. She could be. I mean, people really wanted her to be. She's got a beautiful voice. It's actually kind of somewhere between mine and Bailey's. We do stuff together. I mean, if we do a thing called Songs and Stories, which we started doing about 8 years ago, and I used to go out with just me and my girls and a guitarist, and we used to do these little gigs where we talked to the audience, and it was a big thing for me because I'd never been able to talk on stage, and this really showed me. I think I had cancer 9 years ago now. It seems like
I didn't know.
Yesterday.
I didn't know.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, I'm fine, I think, as far as I know. Not very good at going and checking myself up because I don't want to know it.
I know. Oh, well, it's sort of ignorance is bliss.
I feel like that. But I think it just changed a lot of my feelings, and I just thought, this is ridiculous. I kind of used to always go on stage with this feeling that everybody's just waiting to see me fail. I definitely have the imposter syndrome thing. I think, every time I do a good show, I think it was a bit of a fluke and I don't quite know what happened. And, I thought, I've got to stop this. People are coming to see me because for whatever reason, they seem to like me. Therefore, I'm going to just give them me and hope and pray that me is what they're looking at, they want. And so this Songs and Stories things was very difficult for me to do, but it was so brilliant to talk to my people because I realised they're not there to see me fail. They like me.
Yes, they paid money because they love you, not just like you.
I know, it's such a funny
but
feeling,
with a
isn't it?
songwriting skill like that and a voice like that, I
Yeah,
do understand imposter syndrome, but I just can't believe you have it. But I do believe you have it. But it's like, why do women have it?
Yeah, I never liked my voice. I never thought I was really a singer.
Stop.
It was, when you listen to yourself on an interview
Well,
or
I can't
on
listen
an
to
answer
myself.
phone. Well, I can't either, and I feel the same when I listen to myself singing.
No.
But I have learned to accept that it is okay, my voice. It's all right.
But it hasn't changed either.
Well, it has a bit, but
really?
a bit.
I don't know if it... obviously, you will... but, you do... I remember my mum was saying about Frank Sinatra. He's not quite hitting those notes anymore, is he? And he's not... I can't... If I'm listening to my Judie Tzuke playlist, I can't tell whether I'm listening to you performing...
Oh, so sorry about that.
No, don't worry. We have dogs, and we have this a lot. But I never know if I'm listening to "Stay With Me Till Dawn," be it the Top of the Pops 1980 version, or whether you're performing it last year. Honestly.
Well, thank you so much, because I'm scared about doing this recreation on Monday of it, trying to make it like the original.
About this. Who's Are we allowed to know who the DJ is or anything like that?
I probably shouldn't because...
Okay, no, don't then.
I probably shouldn't, but apparently his last two songs have been Radio 1 Record of the Week.
No.
So it's
I'm
somebody
do
kind
some
of good.
detective work here.
Yeah. I'll tell you off.
Yes.
Interview, I tell you. But
well, Jack did a dance track with Avicii and they were amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it Avicii? No, I don't mean Avicii. I mean Sigma.
Sigma, oh right, okay. Sigma actually did something of my friend Kirsty Hawkshaw, who, I don't know if you remember her, but you would probably if you saw her, because she had, what was her song? Fine Day. Do you remember that song, Fine
Day Tonight?
Yeah, and she
had
was
the
very
balls,
bald.
the balls.
Yes.
Is that your friend?
Yes, she's
God,
my friend.
I love that. The amount of times I tried to do that at a party with the balls.
Oh, yes. Well, in fact, I spoke to her yesterday, funny enough. But yes, she's my friend. And we did a lot of dance stuff with her singing and either me co-writing with her or her just using my songs. And lots of the big DJs, because she's still a DJ singer. They love her voice. And her voice is quite like mine anyway. So we did quite a few big songs with big DJs between us. So yeah, I'm not a stranger to that world. But it'd be exciting if they do it. Yeah.
I feel like you're too hot to handle at the moment. You did a podcast a couple of days ago. I feel like this is...
My publisher said, so he's going to do this version and it's going to be a massive hit and everyone's going to look at you differently and see, this again.
I love your publisher.
I do too, actually. I've only just signed to him.
Wow.
And I kind of wish he'd started on a different song other than Stay With Me Till Dawn, because he has got all of my back catalogue to work with. But I guess it's a good start to do something that might have a good chance of success, and then everyone will want my songs, and that'll be fantastic.
I think I love that you love it as well, because I've spoken to a lot of musicians who almost hate their hit. Or
a lot of my friends had hits that were nothing like them. I feel very lucky for it to have been that song. Yeah.
Yes, I mean it's so beautiful, and to have that as your hit, and again, without boring you senseless with my adoration, the way it grows and the way it's like a beautiful house. It's built beautifully, and it just or like the perfectly planned holiday. It's everything. And like you, I have to feel satisfied at the end of a song or a film, or I like a nice ending, and the way it's just beautiful. And the same.
It was never, it wasn't really thought out. It just came out.
What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, that was the weird thing, actually. The chap that let me down over Ladies' Night, I was very good friends with his best friend, and that's how I'd met him. And we just had a friendship that, this was a long time ago, and, I was probably, I don't know how old I was, but very young. But when he broke up with his girlfriend and I broke up with my boyfriend, that one, the bad one, we had a very close relationship. And I kind of hesitate to tell you that it wasn't really a love song. It was a song of, like, we both got a bit frightened of our relationship that had been one of those friendships that sort of happened when we weren't with anyone else. That sounds really... but we kind of got a bit confused, I think, at that moment. And so it was sort of about him. But it was also... I wrote the verses, and my writing partner, Mike Paxman, he had like a kind of disco track which had, oh, I need you tonight, need you tonight. And I said, you know what? That'll go with my verse.
Oh,
and we
I
put
love
that together, and then we both came up with I'll show you a sunset if you stay with me till dawn. So many people said to me, Judie, it should be I'll show you a sunrise. I said, it isn't. I don't care. I don't know what it means, but it means something to me.
I'll show you a sunset, but you have to stay with me until dawn.
Yeah,
it absolutely makes perfect sense.
So it was, and the funny thing is the guy that I wrote it about moved to, I think he was in the Far East. He was a engineer, and he wrote me a message or a letter or something back then saying that he'd been in this this bar, this sort of expats bar, and that it was on the what's it called, where they have the old records that you kind of, I've forgotten what it's called.
Oh, my brain's... The
thing that you can press buttons. Jukebox, that's the one. It was on the jukebox, and he said it was playing in this bar. And I said, well, did you tell everyone it was about you? And he said, oh, God, no one will believe me. I said, but it is,
no,
and you should.
They?
No, they wouldn't.
He's absolutely right.
He never told anybody that he was the one that I wrote it about. But it wasn't really...
I want a song written about me. There is one, but it's not a hit.
Is there? Oh. Yeah, I wrote... yes, I've written songs about my daughters and lots of people I've written songs about.
Well, can I ask you about Ryan Dan, and just like, was it written for them, or was it a song
No,
you'd
it's
written?
mine. It's on one of my albums. And my friend Steve Anderson was producing Ryan Dan, and I was on Universal at the time, and they were on Universal, and so they asked if they could do it, and they sang it. And I did meet them. We went out for a coffee together, and
they're brothers, aren't they, from Canada?
They're twin brothers.
Twins.
Yes. And I think both their parents are psychiatrists or psychotherapists or whatever. So they're quite intense. And the twin thing is always quite an intense thing anyway, especially when they're identical. And I think they were identical twins. But they were very nice. And, it came out, and it didn't really do anything here. I think it did a bit in America.
I don't even know how I discovered it.
No.
It just, honestly, it was one of those things that I stopped, and I think, was it even around could you Shazam? I can't remember, but
yeah,
have we been able to Shazam for a long time? Obviously. I must have Shazammed it.
Yeah.
And then I immediately bought it, and I used to play it.
Wow, you even bought it?
Yeah, I've got
That's
it. Yeah,
amazing.
I paid for it. I've actually paid for it. And
my version's quite different because I'm not a kind of crossover opera thing like they were, but
it's very operatic.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear you sing it with
I don't know what album it's on, but it hasn't got the strings. I think it might have little strings, but hasn't got the big grand ones.
Put that on the podcast as well. Just let everyone know what we're talking about. I mean, everyone knows. I don't think there's a person in the world that doesn't know Stay With Me till
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful, but it's so lovely as a fan to never be disappointed listening to other tracks, which I think all hold themselves up again,
Thank you.
as an equal to Stay With Me till dawn, if not better?
Well, I think so. That's the only frustrating thing is sometimes, and I have to stop myself because people are very nice, and I'll be walking down the street and someone will sort of go, "Oh my God, I didn't know you were still alive. I loved your song." Or didn't you used to be Judie Tzuke as the other one? I loved your song, and I go, "Oh, that's really lovely. Do you like any of the other 25 albums that I've got out there?" And people, I feel bad when I say that to people, but there is a little bit of frustration. But as you said, at least I'm very proud of Stay With Me Till Dawn, and I still sing it, and I still feel it when I sing it, and I feel very lucky.
It could be worse. You could be Stevie Wonder and everyone thinking "I Just Called to Say I Love You" is your best hit. I mean, that must be torture.
Yeah. There are definitely some dodgy Stevie Wonder ones
out there. I know, and they're all the big ones that people know. And
that's the way it is.
I know, awful. It's like the least, and they don't represent Stevie at all. I Just Called to Say I Love You and Happy. I mean, Happy Birthday was, people don't even know what that was written about either. Bringing it back to Bailey, her cover of Baba O'Reilly.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah, it's very, very good. That one. And that's, they do, they're doing covers because it's trying to build people to come and listen to what they do.
Yeah, of course.
And it seems to be a way that the younger artists are kind of doing now, is that you do covers and you hashtag everybody, and everyone who likes that song sees that she's done that song, and it brings people to their page. Absolutely. But it's a very hard thing to get an audience nowadays because there's so much music out there, and it's a bit like what you were just saying. People tend to gravitate towards the stuff that isn't very good rather than the stuff that is.
Thankfully, your hit is a beautiful representation of you. But if to anyone out there who thinks that Stevie Wonder only did "I Just Called to Say I Love You,"
but also like Bailey had a very big hit when she was 18, which was an Alanis Morissette song called "Uninvited," and it was done with my friends and her friends, but called the Freemasons.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Did you not know that was Bailey?
No,
that's Bailey, and it was
Bailey did "Uninvited" with the Freemasons.
Yes. I
think they are master mixers. They did a Kelly Rowland mix.
Yes,
they
did.
And they
did. At the same time, actually, that was all around the same time. Well, one of them is one of my favourite humans. The other one isn't that he isn't. I just don't know him so well. But James Wiltshire is my friend, and back then they wanted to do a club mix of Alanis's "Uninvited," but Alanis didn't want them to do a club mix, so they asked me if my daughter would do a version of it just for the club mix. So Bailey did it, and she sang it to a normal halftime piano, and then they put all the dance stuff on, and then it came out, and of course it went crazy, and it was massive all over the world, and everybody wanted to sign Bailey, but they wanted to sign her as a dance act, and that isn't what she was. And back then you were either a dance diva or you were a, I don't know, grunge, or you were what navel gazer, I think they called people. You couldn't mix it. Nowadays it's very different, and you can put a song out in whatever genre you like and then have it remixed by I don't know, the Freemasons, Goldie, or drum and beat, all sorts of different things, and it doesn't matter now. But back then it really did, and she didn't want to be a dance act. She loves "Uninvited," and again is extremely grateful.
Well, I'd forgotten it was an Alanis Morissette song. She made it so her own.
Well, yes,
and I love Alanis.
We and the Freemasons at the time were really worried because they hadn't got permission. They'd asked for permission to use Bailey's version, and Alanis didn't get back to them. And then Bailey went and looked on Alanis's site, and she put it up there with a picture of Bailey, just sort of saying, this is a lovely cover of "Uninvited." So we then knew we had the support of, Alanis on that.
I'm going to have to put all the links in the show notes so people can go and listen, because that's brilliant.
Yeah. So yes, that was Bailey. So, then she had a bit of a time of it in the industry with, various managers and various record labels and publishers, and it's a jungle out there, really. It's very difficult. And then she had her daughter and trained to be a yoga teacher, and she did that for a while. But then the Tiggy thing is her coming back to do music because she, like me, can't not.
No, it's in your blood.
It is. It's in my blood. It's in her blood. And she has the same kind of feeling, like when she writes about something sad, she feels less sad. And actually, the one you like with the video they made that video, Bailey did, and she edited it and did it all. It was just a lovely,
you have
a
to
lovely
remind me
song.
of the name. I know it's got wonder in it, but again,
So much
titles,
wonder.
so much wonder,
So much wonder.
Please, can everyone listen to it and check out the video as well, because it's beautiful.
Yes, the video is beautiful, and she's just got a new one coming out today, I think, called When You've Had Enough. And that's got a beautiful video, but it hasn't got Bailey in it, but it's got a very beautiful boxer in it.
Yes, you can actually, if you go onto her Instagram,
yes,
and click on her bio, you can see that, and it's got a really wonderful black and white video.
Yeah.
And it's also the most. You do something. Both of you do something with your voices. It's not even the music. You've both got something that literally makes my heart sort of almost gulp. Wanda's got it a lot, and Ladies' Night, it's just, I can't even describe what it is. It's like a slight vibrato, or I don't know what it is, Judie, but it's just something that you've both got.
We don't know what it is either, but I'm so glad that we've got it. But funny enough, my new publisher was talking about me because he signed Bailey back 10 years ago or whatever, maybe more. He signed, my publisher used to be at one company, and he's now moved to the company that's just signed me. And I sort of said to him, it's quite funny because I wrote a lot of songs with Bailey, so he's going to end up with the songs that he signed on the old company with the company that I'm with, because I'll be bringing the songs that I co-wrote with her. And he was so excited, and he was so nice. But he said, you and your daughter both do something that makes people feel.
Yeah.
And I think, God, that's such a compliment to me. Such a massive compliment.
Makes you. And my son last night was sort of trying to tell me various things about shorts he'd seen on YouTube, on eBay and things like that. And I was listening to you in the background, and I could tell by the breaks in he loves music. He really does. He's a big fan of, funnily enough, Crosby, Stills and Nash.
They're going back to that now.
A lot of yacht rock, a lot of Don Henley, New York Minute, Billy Joel. He loves all that. And I could tell when he was talking to me that there were bits in the song that he didn't want to talk over. And I thought, you've just got that beautiful gift of, it's just not folk. Like I said, I hate the way people pigeonhole and assume the assumption to stay in your lane. And it's now with bands like London Grammar, it's kind of, it's given a whole new genre, really, hasn't it? I guess. And that would be where you would be now if you were to release. I mean, I have to say, I would love to be heard by more people. So doing interviews and things like this is a wonderful thing, because people who listen to you, there might be a lot of people that listen to you that have never heard of me, and they don't know I'm really old. They'll just be able to look me up and find When
stuff.
you watch Judie Tzuke.
Yeah. I honestly, someone did once say to me, God, I didn't know you were still alive. Like, God, I'm not that old.
No.
But, yeah.
You were a mere child on the old grey whistle test.
Just a tiny slip of a thing, yeah.
How old were you with Stay With
I'm not
Me
telling, because then it'll tell you.
Right.
Well, I don't mind telling you off interview, but not particularly.
That's so Jewish.
It's all on Wikipedia, though. I mean, although Wikipedia had me older at one point, I don't know who puts all the stuff in, but it said I was born, earlier than I was. So, anyway, I don't feel old inside, and musically, I'm not old. I love music as much as I ever did, and I love listening to new people, and
You're wonderful, and you're timeless, and are you still writing every day, please?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I was writing with Rumour yesterday. We wrote a song yesterday.
Oh, and so when are we going? I mean, when can we hear more new? I want more new.
Well, I have got a new album that's sort of almost finished, and we are going to start putting tracks out as like a soft release, because obviously with Woman to Woman coming up, I can't make a big thing of my album because we're promoting Woman to Woman. But on my Facebook and stuff, and I have a database of people that have signed up for it, and so if anybody wants to go to my website and sign up to it,
right,
we're going to be putting out like a couple of tracks, new tracks every month, until after the Woman to Woman tour, and then probably the beginning of next year we'll put the album out in full and proper. But so if anyone wants to hear things before, then they just need to sign up to my database.
Subscribe to everything. We are going to put all the notes everywhere where you can find tour dates, music, back catalogues. We'll put Bailey on there as well, Tiggy.
Yes, Tiggy.
And I really want to come and see you in July. Can I still get tickets for that?
I think you can. I haven't even looked. I mean, things are strange at the moment because of the pandemic. People aren't buying up front as much.
Did you write a lot? I should have asked you about that. I hate talking about the pandemic, but...
Yeah, you can look on... There's also on Spotify, I did a lockdown EP, which I did on my friend, my very good friend and guitarist, Ben Mark, he made backing tracks in his little place in London and sent the whole things to me, and I did my vocals on a USB plugged microphone on my own here and wrote the songs, my part of it, and recorded them, and we put them out. There's 4 of them. I think you just look up Judie Tzuke Lockdown. I think you'd probably find it on there. And there are 4 songs that I really love. And they were written very much as the lockdown was happening. I just had COVID at the very beginning.
Oh, no.
I had it really badly. Really early doors and really badly.
Before being vaccinated?
Yes. Literally, as I actually had it before the lockdown started.
Oh,
it was literally, I had been to Florida because I'd had a bad chest infection in the December before. And we went to see my friends in Florida in February to sort of just get some sun, just recover and get myself back together. And I did that and I felt great. And then we caught it on the plane on the way back from Florida. So, I had it really badly. And then I was very ill, but then it was very lovely weather. And so when I actually started feeling better, I wrote the first song because everything looked so beautiful and everything was green and the flowers came out, and I was sort of sitting in my garden, not feeling 100%, but appreciating how wonderful the world is. So that was the first. That's called Birds and Time. And it was also about my other daughter who kind of came to see me because obviously no one could really come and see me until I was well better, and then it was locked down, and then we had to sit in the garden, and she just walked in, and I can't tell you, everything just looked more beautiful than
You even
anything.
Speak like you write songs. Honestly, you are I wouldn't say, you said earlier I'm a depressie, but you're not. You're just really emotional, and I love
very
it. That
emotional.
Energy is so... Yeah. And I have to say, Tallulah Tzuke has to be a showbiz star. That's the most showbiz.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be, but she's got a great job. She's got a proper job. I can't believe it. She's got a proper job. She loves it. She's earning a proper living, not like musicians who earn sort of nothing for 10 years and then a big amount and think they're big and spend it all and then get nothing again for another 10 years. Yes. She's on a regular wage with a company that she loves. And she's great, but she can sing. But she arrived in my garden after me not having many people around, and she just walked in and looked so beautiful. And so that's Birds and Time. And then the next one, I was watching a lot of TV, and there was an amazing documentary about Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
He
is a depressive.
He is a depressive, but it was a video about him living on Hydra, however you pronounce it. And it just looked so amazing, and I just thought, God, I wish I'd been there. I was just a bit too young to have been in that, but if I had been, that's where I would have been. So I wrote a song called Hydra, and that was the second one. And then there was the third one, was when I got really angry and political and everything about everything that was going on and the riots, and so I wrote a song called Idiot Kings.
I love it.
You should look at them. They've all got videos.
I'm super political, and I have to rein it in because I have such anger and contempt.
I know, me too. And every time I say anything like that, people write and say, I'm going to bin all your albums
I know,
now.
so I'm not going to allow it because I couldn't bear it, because this has to be really positive and open up a whole new audience. Yeah. But I'm with you on that, Judie.
Yeah. Well, you should listen to Idiot Kings. And then I had the fourth one was Jude the Unsinkable, which I didn't put on there because we kept it for the album, but I wrote another one after that. But you can really sort of measure my moods through the first lockdown on those 4 songs.
Oh, and how lucky to have songwriting as an outlet.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
COVID, I had COVID after being vaccinated, didn't feel too ill, but lost my sense of smell and taste and got very muffled ears, which made me, I'd lost all my senses pretty much. And I felt very appreciative of everything I have, trust me, but it put me in a very, very, very dark place. And actually the candle that I've created, this is born from being able to smell again and being so grateful.
That's wonderful.
And for me, it was not being able to smell my loved ones. It wasn't so much the aesthetic smells. It was more my dog's breath and silly things. And
I thought my dog had terrible breath and had actually an abscess, but I couldn't smell it, so I didn't know. And when I went, now I know because I've got my smell back, and she's had the abscess and everything treated. But my goodness me, it was quite a lovely thing to not smell my dog's breath for a while.
I know there are upsides, obviously, but I really struggled. I realised that God, without sort of sound, vision and smell, I felt like I didn't exist, Judie. I really did. I felt so out of it. So for me, who spent all of the whole week of COVID crying, I was like, when I can smell again, I'm going to create something to celebrate how lucky we are.
That's such a lovely idea. Well done, you.
Well, I hope you like it.
I'm sure I'll love it. I can smell more than
neutral.
Yeah, I've actually found that I didn't realise I'd lost my smell until I got it back, really.
Yes.
And now I can smell everything. But it took a lot. I lost it for a good year or so.
No.
Yeah, and it's only, I mean, I had COVID, nearly 3...
Before the vaccine.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
I have been quite worried about getting it again. I think I do suffer from quite a few of the long COVID things, especially my breathing is not so great, which is difficult for my voice. And I also lost all the high notes of my voice.
No,
it was really very scary. Back? Well, not completely, but I did see a very wonderful vocal coach who got me able to do my gigs last year and get all the high notes. I wouldn't say I'm 100% back, but I'm going to do some more before the tour to make sure I can do everything.
Well, I don't mind upsetting people by saying, COVID is very real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you doubt it, you're a schmuck.
My body's very achy still.
Yeah.
That's never gone away. It might also be that I'm old, but it wasn't that bad before.
Tiredness. A couple of friends who worked in
very tired
hospitals and nurses that got COVID prior to being vaccinated have really suffered with long COVID. So
yeah.
Oh, let's not end this on COVID, though.
No.
Bloody hell. I want to end this on the fact that, we've talked about the loads of stuff that you're doing. I want to put everything in the show notes where people can find you.
Oh, goodness, I'm very bad at all that.
No, but you've got a website, haven't you, Judie?
I have. It's Tzuke.com.
Tzuke.com.
www.tzuke.com.
YouTube is a font of wonderful things as well. And actually, that's how I discovered you'd done work with Beverly and Julia Porcelain.
Yes, I do have a YouTube page, but I haven't really done anything with it. But there is one, and you can find it. And it does have, I mean, there's some various very peculiar things that, because I love all different genres, there's something called My Demons, and there's there's quite a few of my songs that this amazing guy has just put videos to. I don't know if they're legal or not, but they're on my YouTube page. We put them all up there because I've never been an artist that's had money to do videos, really. And when I first came out, there were a few that were done, but one of my old tour managers took all my videos to get copied for me, and I never got them back.
Oh no!
And I'm not going to name him because he said that he gave them back to me, but I don't think he did. But I don't want to blame anybody, but I have hardly any videos of me.
I know.
So this guy put the most amazing videos that go with some of my songs. One being My Demons, which is something that you probably will never have heard of me, but it's got this dancer video that it is about my demons. It is how it's a very angry, sort of almost dancey song. It's very electronic and wild and crazy. But he put this dancer who is like, he's all tattooed and he's trapped in a box, and it's amazing video. I couldn't have paid for a video like that. I just hope, although I want everyone to see it, I also don't want everyone to see it in case we're not allowed to use it.
Oh, don't worry, our government doesn't care about laws anymore either, don't worry. There's bigger fish to fry.
We'll just lie, that'll do it. Just lie about everything, that's okay.
What? No, not me, I wasn't there. Deny. And I know you skirted around it a bit. I asked you about your favourite song. Okay,
song.
All right, let me ask, do you think your best written, like what's the sort of, as from a musician's point of view, what do you think is your real work of art, your Sunflowers or your Mona Lisa?
Do you know, I have a song called Sunflowers on the new album that is actually one of my favourite things I've ever written.
Okay, so we're both white witches.
Yeah, yes, I think so. God, you know, it's very difficult. I don't know. Like the Sun is one of them, because I do think.
Oh, well, that's made me so happy.
Well, it's a song of love and hope and happiness, and funny enough, the little the little lockdown song that I was talking about, which was called Birds and Time, that also in its own little way has that same feeling, because it was about how beautiful the world is and my daughter is and how golden it all is. So, you know, it's nice when I write something that is not touched with darkness.
Can I just say something? I'm going to really embarrass you here. I'm sat here, I haven't got rid of goosebumps the whole time I've spoken to you, Judy.
Oh, that's lovely.
I feel so emotional because I'm such a fan, and I know they say you should never meet your heroes, but I'm so glad I have, and I'm just in complete and utter awe, quite frankly.
I think thank you so much.
Honestly, I can't wait for the world to hear this interview, and thank you so bloody much. Honestly, I didn't even think you'd say yes. I wanted to ask you a long time ago, and it was Emma that told me I should.
Yes, I mean, I'm not.
Thank you, Emma Roberts.
I'm not up myself. I love people talking to me and saying gorgeous things like you've been saying. It makes me feel good, because I don't have probably the confidence that I should have. So
which makes you very lovely.
I'm very happy when people say things that I'm sure I hope and I'm sure you mean, because it makes me feel good.
Well, I think the world would be a better place if everyone listened to Judie Tzuke.
Thank you. Well, let's hope a few more do. But yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot of me to see that is in all different genres. I'm not a little girl at the piano ballad singer at all. I mean, that is part of, I have done that. I have done dance tracks. I have done singer-songwriter. I've done electronic things. I've done everything because I love music.
And musicians love you. That's always, I think, a really...
That's what I wanted when I think I remember saying once, you know, I don't care about money. I don't care about being famous. I just want other people in my world, you know, to think I'm quite good. And I have kind of got that.
Yeah.
I kind of think I wish I should have added, and can I please make a living from it? But I didn't think of that, you know. But I've got what I asked for.
Well, you know...
Is it too late?
Never too late. No, never too. Come on, I think you've made that "Stay With Me Till Dawn" is so beautiful, and it is on. I mean, you can. It's probably played on a radio station somewhere around the world every day. It has to be. I was talking to my wonderful friend Chris Amu from The Real Thing, who wrote "You to Me Are Everything" that's played at every wedding. It's
I think I met him somewhere. I think I met him.
Oh, he's fabulous. He's playing at the Stables in Milton Keynes. You should come.
Oh, what's his name again?
Chris Amu.
Chris Amu.
The Real Thing.
I know. Yeah, that's funny. I remember that song very much.
You to Me Everything, and they did Can't Get By Without You, but then they did, which people don't remember.
Can't Get By Without You. Yeah, I remember that.
Judie Tzuke singing The Real Thing. There you go. What a first. But they also did Can You Feel the Force, which was a disco.
Can you feel the force? Is that one? Yeah. Can you feel the force? Yeah, it is. I remember them all.
Oh my God, I just got Judie Tzuke to sing a bit of The Real Thing. My life is complete. I'm going to message Chris immediately and tell him. I think we should end on that note. I can't.
Yes, I think that's a good one.
That. Judie Tzuke, You are a legend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been really a real pleasure.
Thank you so much, Judie. That was just fantastic, and we could have chatted all day. You can find all the information you need in the show notes, everything you need about Judie and her tour and her music, and even my candle if you want. Thank you to you, the listeners, for putting up with us every episode, even the dogs barking, but that's what makes it so special. Keep on subscribing, keep on listening, keep on liking, keep on telling your friends, and we'll be back next time. Thank you, and bye-bye.